Ladies and gentlemen, Franklin Roosevelt once said, "We cannot always build a future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." During the forum, we discussed so many things, past and ongoing challenges of this planet. But what do the teens think? During the conference, during those 3 days, 45 school pupils from different parts of the world, with the collaboration of the Greek Children's Ombudsman and the ENOC, the European Network of Ombudspersons for Children, and a school from northern Greece in Ptolemaida, teens were discussing and deliberating on a topic and came up with their own suggestions and policy recommendations. Dagur, Thori, Marta, and Naya, the floor is yours.
Very good. So, I hope you feel good today on this beautiful morning. Personally, I'm really happy because we get to talk for a large group about our future. But throughout these 3 days, we have worked on the topic of social media and AI systems, discussing about the positive role of our democracies, but also identifying areas of possible violations of children and human rights. To this end, we've gone through several important aspects, such as their utility in building networks of communication, enhancing and boosting creativity, receiving important information highlighting young people's voice, and promoting one's work. On the negative side, though, we have discussed about fake news and deepfake videos and the risk they pose for our democracies. And also the decision of the perfection in social media and how the expectation and perfection affects our self-reflection and image. We specifically focused on influencers and the disguised promotion of products through the promotion of lifestyles and false body image. We also have discussed about the aspects of misleading voters and consumers, the ethical problem and concern regarding algorithms and the collection of user private information, and of course the challenges of hate speech, cyberbullying and harassment that many people face every day. Finally, we've asked ourselves whether tech companies operating some of the world's biggest online platforms, including Meta, Microsoft, Google, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok, have too much power on how our democracies work, and we've contemplated on whether our states and international organizations have demonstrated enough willingness to properly regulate this field. The 2022 EU Code of Practice on Disinformation, for example, was an attempt of that nature, but is it sufficient? Next, we're going to talk about our concerns for the future, and it's really important. And Þórey, my colleague here from Iceland, we work in the same youth group. What do you have to say about our concerns?
Yeah, so thank you, Dagur. So in the process of discussion, many concerns were raised about the context of risks and factors, such as the fact that our legal systems are not adequate and fast in their response. In other words, we seem unable to keep up with the developments. The major factor of our education systems that are not properly built and equipped to help us develop the critical and emotional thinking required to address all the risks. So not learning how to think on our own feet from school can lead to easily consuming fake news, propaganda, hate speech, and inappropriate content. We've also underlined many times the aspect of dopamine addiction to bubbly, pleasant to the eyes everyday content, which could eventually affect young people, making them indifferent to reality and news or real information. An important risk stems from the fact that vulnerable people that are already marginalized are more likely to be manipulated, and therefore we've underlined the importance of inclusive policies. We expressed our concerns about the world of employment and how the development of AI systems will completely change our societies and possibly lead to an increase of unemployment and poverty rates worldwide. Finally, we've discussed about the challenge of setting boundaries within the family. Parents seem to need more knowledge and support to protect their children and cope with these risks. But now I have represented and introduced you to the concerns we discussed. So, Naya, would you like to represent our recommendations now?
Yes, of course. So, throughout our discussions, we all highlighted the need for an adjustment of our educational systems to our modern needs. And this will include, to begin with, an interactive, participatory artificial intelligence and new technologies in education, human and children's rights programs introduced in an interactive, appealing way for young people, as well as the introduction of mandatory and coherent education from an early age on emotional and critical thinking. We believe this will help us better understand ourselves and others and build empathy and a critical approach to deceiving practices, hate speech, and fake news. Encouraging more democratic participation and empowering children in our schools through pupils' councils, frequent discussions about difficult topics and taboos. Increasing the visibility and discriminated and vulnerable populations in school, but also in curricula to build resistance to online discrimination. For these purposes, the training of teachers on new technologies and artificial intelligence systems in schools staff is imperative. Schools should be able to inspire respect of human rights and promote a zero-tolerance approach to violence, not just through teaching, but through everyday practice and active commitment. To this end, it is important listening to children and allowing them to participate in active decision-making, which will gradually lead them to a healthier perception of citizenship. Ensure that professionals in school monitor the well-being of children and teachers and apply practices to address possible risks they might come up to. Finally, introducing more activities such as Erasmus projects to help children see and understand the world, focusing on new technologies and artificial intelligence systems. Moving on, we also store the need for improvement of our systems in order to make them effective in supporting families and parents in the real way. For this, we came with proposals such as introducing artificial intelligence and new technologies education for parents. This education should include understanding platform functionalities, recognizing potential risks, and learning how to report issues effectively. Parents should be equipped to support their children in navigating social media, without excluding them from these networks, given that they are over 13. Applying content monitoring systems that are free and accessible. Establish a system that allows parents to monitor and identify possible risks within the social media their children are consuming. This system should respect privacy while ensuring that parents can guide their children towards safe and constructive online experiences. Now, as pleased as I would be to continue, I am very happy to give the floor to my friend Martha, who will continue to explain you the remaining recommendations on supporting families and also the regulations.
Yeah, thank you, Naya. I will take it from here. We would also recommend establishing AI online services to offer parents and children reliable legal and other information and guidance regarding violations of their rights. Or for example, like where to go and what to do when a violation occurs. Online networks of parents would also play a key role in this direction. Introducing effective content filtering options, for example, educational content preferences, by implementing features on social media platforms that allow children and adults to choose the content they want, ensuring that only educational and creative materials are accessible if wanted. Supporting of social and mental health services to help them establish boundaries in families with respect for children. We also underlined the paramount importance of regulating and monitoring the implementation of provisions and codes of practice. In this light, our recommendations are the following. Establishing an international database systems agency to promote safe, secure, and peaceful uses of artificial intelligence, and to ensure that these systems respect human rights. Such an institution would also have regulatory authority. Introducing national and supernatural online safety codes, which will require social media and video sharing platforms to protect children from harmful content or face the prospect of significant fines that will also be calculated according to the net worth of these companies. It is important to introduce effective complaint submission platforms and improve the existing ones through AI. Furthermore, it is crucial to ensure access for children from a young age without the requirement of parental consent. Companies should be obligated to include disclaimers on posts that claim to provide information, but do this without verification and confirmation of the source. This policy aims to enhance critical thinking among users, encouraging them to question the validity of the information they encounter online. Advertisers and commercial practices online should be monitored properly regarding their credibility. Introduce an accreditation system that will reward service and news providers that follow proper verification procedures. Oblige companies to create separate sections for news to safeguard the distinction between what appears to be informative and what actually is. Apply AI filters for that purpose as well. Oblige companies to create child-friendly, appropriate sections with information that is adjusted to children's needs. And last but definitely not least, consult with children and encourage them to participate regarding all matters affecting them, including the digital technologies and AI. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is what we have discussed about the whole group. We are, I don't remember how many people? 45 young children, all the up to 18. What we wanted to do is, my name is Dagur.
Yeah, and my name is Þórey.
I'm Naya.
And I'm Marta.
And we want to ask if you have any questions for us or something you want to ask us.
Just a very quick question. I'm Camille Grenier from the Forum on Information and Democracy. Very quick question out of curiosity. How long did you work and how did you get to that level of expertise? Mentioning the EU strengthened code of practice on disinformation, which is something I and a few people in the room have worked for a few years. So how did you work? Because I think it's really interesting and you have a very strong policies in your hands. So congrats and thank you for that.
First of all, we want to say thank you. That's a compliment because I think many adults don't see what really young people can do. We have brilliant minds, and we can do like you can do. We can talk about our future, and this democracy forum is all about the youth as well. It's really important to think about it. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. But we all just work really well together from many different countries, many different just places, just environments that we come from, and that's probably the answer I can give you from that question. Thank you so much for the question.
Yeah, and additionally, you asked about how we jumped to these conclusions through discussion and sharing experiences and just discussion among us, which proves that we are capable of putting our minds together and just coming to conclusions, if that helps anyway.
Again, thank you so much for doing this. And thank you for the very concise and pithy synopsis. My question is, of all the things you've heard over the last couple of days, what gives you most cause for optimism?
So obviously, Is it working? Okay.
Yeah.
Most of the things we discussed were negative, but always we could come up with something that was positive about it. Number one thing that I always noticed was how well we could work together and come up with solutions for all of these issues, that we just need your help to sort of improve and to complete in the further in the future. So I think that all these issues that we have currently are solvable if we just work together, and these past few days have proved to us that it is absolutely possible.
Yeah, we've also talked to many people here that are in here and that have a lot of experience. Maybe someone who has the same thing I want to do in the future, and just talking to you means a lot, and just being here in the forum, when we were in the adults forum, listening to you experienced people, it's really, really, really incredible for us, and we acknowledge a lot of things when you talk and so further. So just thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Personally, what I find helpful in order to seek hope, in one hand, is that we have so clear what the problems are, so we can get a solution way more easily. And the second thing is what he said, that you are already taking us into account, and that brings me hope, because we are the ones who are interacting with social media and artificial intelligence on a daily. I mean, I imagine you do as well, but we do in different ways, and we are the ones who will get affected by it the most. So the fact that you're taking us into account through active participation brings me hope in that, in that way.
Mirto.
Yeah, a huge clap for them. Yeah, they worked really hard. It's not really. They worked really hard.
And at this point, I would also like to warmly thank Theoni Koufonikoulakou, Anna Rucci, and Vaso Gasteratu for working with the kids those 3 days. A very warm applause. Theoni, Anna, Vaso, thank you very much. We have time for one more question, probably. Alexandra.
Oh my God, you are the highlight of this conference. I have to say, I am so struck by your intelligence. Thank you so much. But I would like to ask you, if you had the chance and if you had the power to organize this conference for next year, oh shit, something's happening here. Okay, to organize this conference, Athens Democracy Forum, would it look like, and who would you invite, and what would you discuss?
Big question. Really big question. Who does? You want to take? Okay. Wow. Whoa. So, I think this forum. I've been to probably like 5 conferences before, or forums, and they don't participate just teens as much like this conference does. So I'm really happy about that. I would say have more youth come, and more just teens from all countries to participate, and also just to have them talk to the more experienced ones as well, more than we did here in this conference.
And I also would like to, meet the adults more and to learn of your experiences, because you are our role models, so we really, I think we would all like to talk more to you and hear what you have to say also.
Yeah, I have really enjoyed the way we work together when creating these recommendations, working in groups, having these sort of discussions and sometimes conflicts. And I also would like to say, I feel like young people should have even more time to tell you about our ideas because, yes, we have these, but we have so much more to tell you, but we just simply don't have the time. So maybe next year, create a longer panel, for example, so we could even speak for more and we could discuss these recommendations through furthermore.
But to answer your other question, I would say it's really difficult for me to tell you because these topics that we've been talking about in the Athens Democracy Forum has been just the general things that are important for our future as well. So I think I don't have anything in mind that we can change for next conference, but also it's
We
really
have a
important.
debrief session later.
Yeah, we have a brief session later, but also it's important for us to listen to you, and we learn a lot while listening to you, but it's also really important that you listen to us as well, because we are your advisors for your work when you come back home.
Last question?
Yeah, well, I didn't.
sorry.
No worries. Yeah, pretty much I agree. I think it's very well planned, but we were lacking a bit of time. We were spinning through all of the topics quite fast. We could have dived way deeper, but it was perfect. And I've also missed interaction with you elders and your perspective. I would really love to know your perspective. Does any of you have kids? Yeah, well, okay. So, being parents, I imagine you see your kids using technology, and you are also quite concerned about how this is going to develop. And I would like to hear more perspectives, like parents, or maybe, I don't know, from other countries. And that's pretty much the thing I miss the most.
Yes, Farah.
Hi, I'm Farah Nairi. I write for the New York Times, which is the newspaper that this conference is associated with and organized with. And I wanted, because we've been writing about and talking about mainstream journalism and how young readers, young people like yourselves, don't really engage with it. And I wanted to ask you, and I want you to be really honest, do you read newspapers? And if not, why not?
So I'm a really strange kid. I read newspaper online though. Not I don't buy the newspaper anymore. But I read my local Icelandic paper on the internet. I'm a strange kid though, but generally. Other kids say that, but but I would say yes. But I would say all the kids that participated in the forum, we have so similar thoughts and similar things to talk about. That we talk about. Hey, I watch the newspaper as well. And we talk about that as well.
So in Iceland, we also have like a kids newspaper, or I think many kids read that because it's like in their own language. You know, we don't talk like the adults, and we don't. Sometimes we don't understand what is written for them. So yeah, I think that's really cool. But yeah,
I'm sorry, but I do not read the newspaper. Why not? Yeah. You're interested about that, right? I just don't find it appealing, personally. It's like a lot of, for me personally, I find it's a lot of text in one really small paper. And I think in Spain, my country, it all has just having a really dark perspective, like everything is wrong, there's this many wars and nothing's ever good. And I find it important that we get informed of those things, like the wars, the unjust things. But I'm just not about being depressed all the time. And that's my major problem with it.
So for me personally, I really like to keep up with the news, and I do constantly read news online. But the number one problem that I see is that many articles require a subscription in order to read them, so I can't have access to the news, even though I really, really want to. And I don't know if this is just an Estonian thing or is it everywhere, but I feel like it's having kind of access to what's happening around you should not be, you should not have to pay for that. That should be free for everybody and accessible.
Thank you very much for being here with us. Kim? Who's the next session? Okay.
I think she has a question.
Calypso, one more. Last question. We cannot leave you.
Thank you so much. This is the longer panel that you requested. It's going to be spontaneous here. I want to let you in a little secret. Among those of us who've been talking about citizens' assemblies, and you've heard quite a lot of the speakers mention that, and you know that my friends in the Athens Democracy Forum and Democracy and Culture Foundation were really into, organizing citizen assembly. And here's the debate we have among ourselves. A, how young do they go? So right now, our assembly is like 16, starts at 16. I'm kind of a radical, I want them to start like at 12. And the other question is, should the young citizen assembly be separate, have their own conversation, or should they be mixed with assemblies that go all the way to 100 years old? So how young should we go and how mixed should we be? What's your opinion about that? And seriously, we don't know the answer.
Okay. I really like that question. To answer the first one about the age, I think. I find it important to have a wide age range. You say 12 years, I say go for it. But don't have only 12 years old. Have 12 years old to 18 years old from different realities, a diverse group. And sorry, can you remind me the second question?
Whether we should have special youth assemblies or mix every age.
Oh, very interesting one. Absolutely do not separate the assembly. Make sure everyone is sharing different realities, different perspectives, different stories, because that's going to make it such a more enriching environment, and everyone will open their eyes and come to new conclusions that they may have not came if the environment was separated. Yeah, that's it.
So really quickly, sorry. In Iceland, I'm just going to say I love Iceland, but in Iceland we have a child forum. So we, as you were talking about, we do this. We take kids from all around Iceland, and we just random pick from each school, and we have after the forum we have some results, and we go with the results to the parliament. And this is something that every country needs to look at, because it's really important, and the results have been given to the parliament, and the parliamentarians have worked on the results as well.
Perfect. Thank you.